Here, there's your flag. Stand up.
Okay.
All right, Jax.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
All right, Jax, good job.
Good job. buddy.
Guys!
So
Nice.
now we can get started.
Guys!
All right, so let's see, who do we got here? Oh, we got Kathy here. Kathy just joined us last week. I think Renee approved her. It's a friend of my mother's, so I'm glad we got somebody new here at least. Oh, Brad's here. Thank God. Get a little worried when Brad's not here. Is David Davis here? Oh, he is here. Okay.
I'm here. Yep. Yep.
All right. So let's get on with it. So we're going to start with section 9. Oh man, all that time I'm sitting there, I didn't even get my books where they need to be. So section 9, we started, or section 8 dealt with what we authorize the government to do, what we authorize Congress to do. So what we're going to get into now with section 9 is what we specifically prohibit the government from doing. In section 10 is going to be, or article 10, sorry, not, no, I'm right. Section 10 is going to be specifically what the Constitution prohibits the states from doing. I think we can get through it pretty quick. We'll see. I always think we're going to get through it quick, and then we only get through 4 clauses. So we'll get to it. Where is my Constitution? I think it's going to be easier for me to read from. Does anybody have anything before we start? Any questions on section 8, on any of it? No? All right, moving on. All right, so section 9, clause 1, which is kind of disgusting really, but what this is migration and importation clause. The migration and importation of such persons as any of the states now existing shall think proper to admit shall not be prohibited by the Congress prior to the year 1808, but a tax or duty may be imposed on such importations not exceeding $10 for each person. So anybody read ahead? Does anybody know what this has to do with? Anybody?
Slavery.
It is slavery. You know, some of these things are pretty disgusting when you read about them, the way they treated slaves, human beings. So the whole reason this is in here, we actually would not have a constitution if we did not have this clause in there. The South, this was a compromise for the South. They were not going to vote to ratify the Constitution if we did not include this paragraph in there. And what they were attempting to do, they were asking to keep their slaves until 1808 so that they could retire their debts on their plantations. And all those debts were collateralized by the slaves. So the whole point of this was that come 1808, that was going to be the end of it. Obviously it wasn't, and we ended up fighting a war over it. But had we not included clause 1 here, we probably wouldn't have a constitution, at least not that we know today. There was no way that the South was going to ratify that. According to my rugged constitution here, they got that all crossed out. Obviously, because it's slave trade, there's no reason for us to have that anymore. Questions on that? Comments, discussion? Anybody want to tell me how disgusting this is?
You give them Democrats an inch, they take a mile again.
Right. We give them 1808. We're like, look, we'll put up with this crap until 1808. No, not good enough. They just kept on. But we fought a war. We won the war. So.
Yeah, there was, I mean, not 100+ years of history of trying to compromise and make things to get rid of it. And it's like anything else. People, when they have something, they don't want to give it up.
Well,
So-
and there was one, I don't remember which book I read it in, that brings up a good point in that, I mean, slavery was wrong at any point. But you got to wonder that if slavery had ended in 1808, like we had originally planned for, you know what the state of the country would have been in. I mean, you're talking about almost 60 years. I mean, where their voting rights would have been, where, I don't know, maybe it wouldn't have made a difference. I guess we'll never know. All right, moving on. Unless somebody's got anything. Anybody got anything before I go? No reason to talk about that one too much. All right. So
I got
clause-
nothing.
Who? Dave? Nothing? All right. Dave.
Nope,
has
I got nothing.
Dave has nothing. I know nobody's got nothing. Nobody has anything. Clause 2, the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless, when in cases of rebellion or invasion, the public safety may require it. So does everybody have an understanding of basically what habeas corpus is? In a nutshell, it's going to protect, it protects everybody from unlawful imprisonment, right? That's what makes, when you get arrested, that's what makes them take you, the government take you before a judge to ascertain whether or not they have the right to hold you for whatever they're holding you for. Sorry, I'm reading here. I got something highlighted.
Hey, Jim.
Yep.
Didn't your sister say she was going to be here for this meeting this week?
Yeah, I got 2 pages here. What's going on? Is she not here?
Negative.
Mary. Man, don't get me all going on Mary. Wait until
She's
we're
still
doing,
in yoga class.
wait until we're doing the drinking portion before you get me going on that.
She had a
Um,
chance. We put it
Send her
out
a
there,
text.
so whatever.
Dave, you got anything on habeas corpus?
Only to point out again, what was obvious to those people, that it was common for England to throw people in jail to make them be quiet.
Yep.
That was used as a threat and as an actual weapon. So it was a real legit concern, just like we talked about last week. It may seem foreign to us, but it was happening. So
One of the things I got highlighted here is that the Constitutional Convention's delegates assumed that habeas corpus was pre-existing and a continuing right. Some delegates, such as John Rutledge, opposed any allowance in the Constitution for suspending the writ. So in cases of war, and we have suspended it a few times. But in the end, there was agreement that in circumstances of war or invasion, it should be possible to suspend the writ at least temporarily. So I thought I had other stuff highlighted here on this one, but I don't. So there's been times in the past, World War II. I believe, did 9/11, did we suspend it in 9/11? Because I know there were court cases about it. I know there were some,
I don't recall if we did during 9/11.
I know there was a court case. God, man, I'd have to look it up. It was an Arab descent. I don't know. Either way, it has been suspended. Obviously, we don't want that suspended.
I would think that I
all
believe the
over.
Japanese internment camps in the Second World War
For sure,
was the largest variation.
for sure. And it's supposed to, as soon as the whatever the danger is, as soon as that danger resolves itself, that the suspension of habeas corpus is immediately supposed to end. So, and I don't know if with the internment camps, if that's what happened. Were they immediately released upon victory?
Yeah, I don't know it off the top of my head. That's an excellent question. I don't know. I
Yeah.
guess you'd have to know what point they determined that they were not a threat. But that
Right.
I would have to look into that. It's a good question.
My guess is victory. We should have known. All right.
Right?
so
Yeah, for
no,
sure.
nothing else on habeas corpus?
Nope.
Now, remember, these are things that we are refusing, that we are prohibiting.
I've got something here when habeas corpus has been suspended.
Okay.
The writ of habeas corpus has been suspended 4 times since the Constitution was ratified throughout the entire country during the Civil War. In 11 South Carolina counties overrun by the Ku Klux Klan during Reconstruction, and in 2 provinces of the Philippines during 1905 insurrection, and something, let's see. and in Hawaii after the bombing of Pearl Harbor.
So the internment camps didn't count, I guess. If it,
Yeah, they're not listed in there.
it says
yeah.
just Hawaii.
Yeah, in Hawaii after the bombing of Pearl Harbor is what it says here. That's on constitutioncenter.org.
Interesting.
That's a legit site. Huh.
Yeah.
All right then.
I'll be.
Yeah. Somebody's
How
got something?
how would the bill that's being proposed in New York fit into this?
Which?
They're trying, they got a bill that's in their legislature that is going to give power to the governor to detain people basically for whatever reason they want if they're deemed to be a threat, mainly around COVID, but it leaves.
Yeah, good luck with that. I don't know. And I hadn't heard that was actually a bill. I'm not too worried about bills that are just bills because, I mean, that sounds like the kind of thing that's probably going to die, right? That doesn't even make any sense to me that they would, well, it is New York. Maybe it does. Yeah, I don't see how that's even constitutional. That's craziness. I mean, just at its face value. I haven't looked into it though. I will. I'm a little interested in that. All right. Dave, anything about that bill? Did you hear anything about it?
I saw something about it, and it was supposedly what I saw was that they want to have the power to remove people from the state that are deemed to be contagious. And I don't know.
And put them
I don't
where?
know how that would work, or if you were in the state and you had COVID, they could kick you out. I can't even imagine how that would operate.
Kick you out to where?
Right, I don't know, anywhere other than New York, which is probably where you would want to be anyway. But I don't know where they would kick you out to. I don't know.
You're
if
gonna
it's
give them a
true or
free
not.
trip to Hawaii.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Hawaii,
right.
Hawaii or California.
Right? Yeah. So I don't know how legit that is, though. I did see that mentioned.
Like I said, I mean, there's always crazy bills being proposed. Until it passes, I'm not going to get too worried about that. All right, so moving on, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 3.
Hey, before we do that,
Yep.
how do the
No, see, I
Miranda
thought we were going to get
rights?
away without Jen. All right, go ahead.
Sorry. Sorry. How do the Miranda rights how do they weave into habeas corpus? Or do they?
No, that's wholly separate. Yeah, that's a wholly separate thing. What that is, what the Miranda rights do, basically, just real quick, I'm digressing here. So when we arrest you and you are in custody and we're talking to you, the courts, the Miranda case established that we have to tell you what your rights are. All right, that you have the right to remain silent. You have the right to have an attorney. If you can't afford an attorney, everybody's watched TV. Everybody knows what their Miranda rights are. We don't have to. If I don't have you in a custodial environment, right? Even though you're a suspect in a crime, I'm at your house and we're talking, I don't have to give you Miranda rights. All right. The only time I have to give you Miranda rights is if I have you in a custodial environment and you're under arrest, right? Even if you come to the station, if you come to the police station to talk to me on your own free volition, I don't have to give you Miranda rights. The only time I got to do that is when you're under arrest. And that's basically just letting people know that they don't have to talk to the police and that they have the right to an attorney. Because before Miranda, we wouldn't tell anybody any of that stuff. And you would get some of the poor, the less educated, that didn't know their rights and they were taken advantage of and railroaded. So, but yeah, totally different things. Moving on to Section 9, Clause 3, no bill of attainder or ex post facto law shall be passed. So in a nutshell, bill of attainder is a legislative act that singles out an individual or a group for punishment without trial. A lot of times back in the early days, back in Great Britain, I mean, there were people and groups that were being given the death penalty without even being given a trial. The king could do that. That is illegal. Any legislative act that singles out an individual or a group for punishment without trial. And, you know, it's in the Constitution. Everybody who hears this, I mean, right now you got to be thinking, well, no shit, right? I mean, we know the government can't pass laws that single out a group and administer punishment to them without a trial. But it was a big deal back then. You got to remember they're coming off the heels of tyranny. So, and remember, these are things that we deny the government, specific things that are so important to the framers that they're saying, look, you are not allowed to do this. The next, ex post facto, literally means after the fact. And what that is you can't make something, you can't charge somebody, you can't make something illegal and then charge somebody who did that back when it was legal. All right. So let's just say that you're not allowed, you're allowed to wear a blue shirt today. You're out there wearing a blue shirt. Tomorrow they pass a law that says blue shirts are illegal. And then they say, you know what? Yesterday you wore a blue shirt. Now you're under arrest. So you're not allowed to do anything after the fact when it comes to the laws. And that also carries over to mandatory sentencing. So if there's mandatory sentencing, like on the drug war, all right, if you have bulk amount of marijuana, third strike, you're out, whatever, not even bulk. Let's say you got, one joint out in the 3 strikes and you're out in California. You get caught with that joint and it's your 3rd strike, but you got in 2 months before the 3rd strike law got passed, then you're home free. So they can't go back and charge you with a crime or met out punishment for something you did before something was illegal. Make sense? Questions? Dave, anything?
Questions on your 3-strike rule. Does that mean if you already had 2 convictions for that and then they passed the 3-strike rule, you have 3 fresh chances at that point?
I don't know. I bet that was brought up. I should probably look into that. That's actually a good question. I don't know.
Yeah, another good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if, once they pass that 3-strike law, are they saying, all right, now you only have 1 strike left? I mean, I guess they could, right? Because you're not being punished at that point. You're only going to be punished if you break the law again. I don't know. God, I wish I had a constitutional attorney here.
And that would also qualify if you'd gotten popped for it 5 times previously.
Well, now they couldn't go back.
No, I know, but then does that mean on your next one?
Oh, right. Well,
right.
Yeah, I guess.
Or do you start fresh at 0 and start counting there?
I don't know. Was California the only state with a 3-strike law?
They're the only state with a lot of weird stuff.
I think they were. I think they were the only state with a 3-strike law, or on that 3rd strike, no matter what it was, you were doing big time. You get caught shoplifting and big time.
Isn't that kind of similar to how they changed the DUI law in Ohio?
As far as what? I mean, they increased the penalties. They didn't really.
Yeah, back in like 2005 or something like that, didn't they make it so that if you had so many within 20 years and 10 years and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, they did. They changed it. I mean, I don't know. I guess that's kind of like a 3-strike law. I don't know. I mean, because that does now. So, yeah, 6 and 20. If you have 6 DUIs in 20 years after they pass that law, we look back. We don't look back to. It's not from 2005, whenever the law was passed. I mean, we look back. So looking at it, Bill, it probably, so if you had 5 DUIs and it was just DUI after DUI after DUI, and then we pass this look back 20 years and now it's 6 and 20, and all of a sudden you get 1 more, and now you got felony charges for the DUI, and that stands. I know people have fought that here and we won it, or the government's won it.
Huh.
So I'll bet the 3-strike law is the same way.
These are perfect examples of what we've talked about all along, where a law is written and then it has to be interpreted. They write the 3 strikes law, and then people come up with questions like, well, hey, I've already got 5 felonies. On my 6th one, do I qualify? So the law can be written, and then it requires interpretation, usually by a court, I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this has gotten to the Supreme Court or not. I'll have to look into that though, because that's pretty interesting. You actually threw me back with that question. I don't know the answer to it. All right, anything else? Anybody got anything?
Nope.
Come on, I got 26 people here. Let's get to
You
talking.
want to hear? You want to hear where the Senate race is at right now?
No,
Maybe.
I do.
Maybe not.
Listen, I don't want to discuss it. I just want to hear where they're at.
40% in. Blues are up 55. Reds are down 44.
All right. Article 1, Section 9, Clause 4. No capitation or other direct tax shall be laid unless in proportion to the census or enumeration herein before directed to be taken. It's a whole lot of talking. Now you got to remember back in, where were we? Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3, where we talked about Section 2, Clause 3. Actually, it's clause 2 and Clause 3 about how taxes are laid, right? And it was by states, and you had to use the census. So basically, capitation is any tax that's collected from every single person. All right. Does anybody know what was ruled unconstitutional in 1894?
all right, got me.
The income tax. They tried it early. Supreme Court ruled that the income tax was unconstitutional, right? Because they were laying it on every person, but they were not taking the census and the population of the states into account, which Article 1, Section 2 called for. So what did Congress do? Congress, you know, they're not going to put up with just taking money away from them, right? They need the money. They say they need the money. So in 1913, Congress passed the 16th Amendment, which authorizes them to collect income tax. That easy. Well, they don't pass it, but they put the amendment up there and they get it ratified. So just like that, that's how income tax came to be. It was already unconstitutional, ruled once because they weren't following the rules to collect it. So this way, now they can tax any kind of income, and they can tax it from individuals instead of, you know, worrying about the state requirements and the population requirements. And we got along just fine without before income tax. Just gave them a whole lot of money.
Can we amend it?
Can we
and
amend
say-
16?
Yeah, and say.
I'll tell you
no
what
income
should be
tax
done.
above-
Instead of amending 16, what we should do is get rid of it.
Repeal it.
Absolutely. It's absolutely, it's ridiculous.
Who wouldn't be for that?
Right?
Well, Congress,
Yeah, true.
I mean, they're going to fight you tooth and nail. You know, the problem is though, I mean, really, who's not for term limits, right? But we can't get enough states on board with an Article 5 convention right now to even call for that. So you say who would be for it, but
or 90% of the people want term limits.
yeah, right. But we can't get enough states to call for the convention. So you say who wouldn't be for it, but apparently trying to get everybody on the same page is the problem. Oh, you know, here's another little fun tidbit for you from the bills of attainder. I moved on without reading, make sure I didn't have anything highlighted. So bills of attainder also required. Now, you remember, we're outlawing, we're telling the government they cannot use bills of attainder. They also require what's known as corruption of the blood, which meant that any condemned heirs lost the right to inherit. They denied to the condemned heirs the right to inherit his estate. So what would happen was they would come in here with the bill of attainder and they would sentence this guy without any trial at all, and then they would seize his property. You wouldn't even, you know, family. So he goes away to prison for the rest of his life. They kill him, death penalty, and you're living in the house. They come out there, they kick you out, and they seize the property. So and that wasn't us, obviously, but that's what we were trying to get away from. Direct taxes, I don't have anything highlighted. Anything on direct taxes before we move on? All right, Section 9, Clause 5, which is export taxation. Now, this is a little confusing. Well, here, I'll read it real quick. Where are we? 5. No tax or duty shall be laid on articles exported from any state. Now, I've read a couple different things on this. I mean, clearly this is in the global arena. It covers that. But there's some things that I have read where they're also denying oh, wait a minute. You know what? I think I cleared that up for myself. It is not going to have to do with between the states. It is going to have to do with.
We can't have an import tax for something going from Ohio to Kentucky.
Well, right, but that is not what this is going to have to do. What this is going to have to do with is stopping the government from unduly taxing exports, leaving, and we're going to get to it further on, I think, or this might be it. Leaving certain states where they're not going to be able to tax or duty articles of, like, let's say, cotton, leaving Georgia, right? But then let exports from the north go through. So we're basically telling the federal government that they cannot tax or duty any exports from the United States. Dave, anything?
Only that, again, this is something that was happening under the Articles of Confederation, where states were, the whole taxation and interstate commerce system was just a mess. And so that definitely had to be fixed. And as we move on to the next clause, we'll see kind of where they're going with this, that what happened under the Articles of Confederation could not be allowed to happen under the new Constitution.
Yep. And the next clause is the port preference clause. I think I've got the whole thing here and they don't break it up. Yeah. So no preference shall be given by any regulation or commerce or revenue to the ports of one state over those of another, nor shall vessels bound to or from one state be obliged to enter, clear, and pay duties in another. So what this one is it's basically evening the commerce field for everybody in the United States. It came about because Maryland's the one that pushed for this, because what they were worried about is that ships coming out of the port of Baltimore were then immediately going to be stopped in Virginia and be required to pay some kind of duty or some kind of tax there. So that's basically it. We're not, the South was worried about it because the South has obviously more ports than anybody else. So they were worried at the time that they were going to be unduly targeted, or that maybe Mississippi would be given preferential treatment over Virginia or over Georgia. So it's just even in the playing field that the federal government cannot give preference to any one state when it comes to ports. Questions, Dave? Anything? Brad, you're quiet tonight. Stop talking about the Army. Brad doesn't care anymore.
Nah, this election got me ticked off, but I digress.
Turn the TV off until 9. I'm not even watching it.
Not the update 5545.
I don't even have it on. Just gonna make me crazy.
I can't believe Mary's not here.
I can.
Yeah, I guess. All right.
She went to Georgia to vote.
Oh, stop it. Here we go. Here we go. See, where are we? Port preference, clause 7. Clause 7. Jesus, where is clause 7? You got me all flustered now. All right, so clause 7 is going to be the appropriations clause. Again, these are things that we are denying the federal government to do. No money shall be drawn from the treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law, and a regular statement and account of the receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. So this is the power of the purse. This is what's basically you can't take any money from the treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law, Congress is the only one that can make the laws. Therefore, Congress controls the money. Awesome. Because that's not abused at all, right? The people that can make the laws about how we spend the money are the ones that are spending all the money. I mean, if you look at this last omnibus that they passed, I mean, I don't know, man. It seems like there should be one more check in there somewhere. The amount of money that they spend, I mean, clearly they're abusing this thing, but again, how do you stop it? I mean, they're following the law right now. They're following the Constitution. But the fact that they can just, you know, make their own laws to spend the money is just crazy to me. Anybody got anything on this?
Well, they are our elected officials, so.
Oh, yeah, they are. They're elected, all right.
And they can even vote themselves a raise.
Elected by
Yeah, that-
apathy.
Listen, I chose my wife. I did. But if she was spending the kind of money Congress is spending, we'd be done.
Yeah, right. Nobody could live off the budget that, I mean, I've said it before, right? I mean, you've got a debt ceiling in your house that you can absolutely not go over, or else you're not going to be able to make your house payment. You're not going to be able to make your car payments. You're not going to be able to keep the lights on. You can't just vote with your wife. You guys can't get together and say, hey, I move that we raise our debt ceiling $4,000 this month. Okay, you know, granted, you can't do that. I mean, what would happen to you guys if you all just decided you were going to raise your debt ceiling by $2,000? You'd lose your house. I mean, and we're going to lose this country eventually. I mean, this is just getting out of control. Like George Washington said, man, I mean, we are supposed to be paying our own debts. We're not supposed to be passing them on to our heirs. And right now, I don't even know how many generations removed from me are going to be paying off the money that we're spending today. It's crazy.
The dollar's already artificially propped up. So the thing.
Well, that's true too. They're probably not going to be paying it off because the dollar, it's going to be like that Zimbabwe. What they had 100,000 Zimbabwe dollar bill that's worth $1. So, I mean, it's going to be us one day.
Well, sadly, at its core, these people should be public servants, but they're not. This is their profession. Just like being a police officer is your profession, a consultant is mine, and we're being paid for what we do. And they're making money rather than being true public servants.
So the only thing I would say to that, Kathy, is you said that they should be public servants, and they are public servants. And we've talked about this a lot in the past weeks, and I know that you just got in. They're getting away with what we allow them to get away with. This is
exactly.
It's our fault. I mean, it's not their fault. Let me get away with, you know, let me get away with living a good life, spending money I don't have, and see if I do it. I mean, we allow them to do this through apathy, through voting, or lack of. I mean, you look at what's happening in Georgia here, man. If Georgia doesn't go the conservative way, the money's going to just start flowing, man.
Right, but
And
there's
they
something
they have
wrong with.
completely forgotten. You're right. They've completely forgotten who they work for.
Well, the problem is, even if somebody goes into office with good intentions of truly being a public servant, they are being enriched to the point where that leads. I mean, they start spending their days raising money for their next campaign. So even if we vote and vote them out of office, when we vote the next person in, it's a vicious cycle, it seems. So there has to be some way to disincentivize the people being rich in that position.
There is. Somebody just said it.
Term limits.
Term limits.
I think we all.
Term limits, right? You pass term limits and lobbying goes right out the window.
Oh, I know, but they have to pass it.
No, they don't.
No,
No,
not with
we the people need to influence that. And like Jim keeps saying, apathy and term limits are the key for our success in the future.
We can pass term limits on all of our elected public officials. All it takes is an Article 5 constitutional convention. We get enough states on board with that. The constitutional convention has to happen. Congress can't stop it. The president can't stop it. It has to happen by the Constitution. And we bring up a term limit amendment to the Constitution for Congress, and we get enough states on board that ratify it, and it's a done deal. Congress doesn't have a say in it. They're never going to vote themselves out of a job. It's going to be up to us.
And I've always wondered why, at the beginning too, when they were writing all this, it still kind of befuddles me why it was never written into the Constitution originally.
It's because those jobs didn't pay shit and they didn't think no one was going to stick around.
But it was also, you got to remember, man, we were coming off of a monarchy. So they were worried about keeping the executive out for life. But the Congress, man, these were farmers. These were farmers that would come out to Philadelphia and do their business and then go back to farming. I don't think they ever, in their wildest dreams, could have imagined somebody being a full-time politician for 47 years. I don't think they could have ever imagined it. I mean, how do you?
Life expectancy was 47 years.
Right. But I mean, how do you?
And being a representative was never meant to be your full-time job.
Never.
You were meant to have a job in addition to that.
But now it is a full-time job, and you get a pension. You serve one term, and you get a pension, and you get free health care, and you know, you're not having to live under the laws. You're not having to live under the laws that you put on the people. You're not having to live under the health care. And I mean, you're making more money at 174,000. You're making more money than the majority of the country.
That's a good segue to the next clause.
But to your point about, the state legislatures and bringing an amendment to the Constitution, somehow we have to figure out a way to make them realize, our state legislators, that it's not to their benefit to keep enriching Congress.
Well, you'd be surprised.
And a lot of them, a lot of people do have that goal to be a senator or a congressperson when they're representing you out of your state. So,
right. You'd be surprised how many states are already on board with the Convention of States. It's a matter of wherever you live, getting a hold of your people and telling them, look, I want this. We need everybody to tell them. It's apathy that's killing us. Like Dan said, there's 90% of the people out there want term limits, but nobody's calling their state reps saying, hey, look, get us on board with the Convention of States. Let's do this. Why are we talking about it? We all want it. Let's get it done.
All right. Well, I'll get on it with my guys.
It's Convention of States. Listen, conventionofstates.com. Just go and you can read all about it there. That's probably the best group. So
I think today, 28 states, including Colorado, have passed resolutions calling for a convention to discuss a balanced budget amendment. That was as of February of 2019.
What group is that? Because here's the problem is too, that you have different groups that are competing against each other. We can't all get on board. We all need to get on board with one. Oh, I got to move on. I think I'm getting waved at by Renee. Am I getting waved at, Renee?
Definitely waving at you.
These are things we can talk about later in the after, but
this is Renee's job, Kathy, if you don't know. I get off and I start talking about stuff, and Renee's job is to keep me focused. So
that's okay. I'm sorry. This was
no. Trust me, it's me. I hate these.
Definitely good things to talk about, and
I hate these Steven scumbags, and I'll talk about them any chance I get.
Yeah,
but
the appropriations convention of the states kind of makes sense to do a balanced budget, and that kind of refers to what we were talking about with the appropriations made by law. I don't know. I think
I'll just say the last thing I'll say then is
never about term limits because we all agree right now.
Well, you're absolutely right. But the problem is when you get into the convention, when you get into introducing amendments, you can't have an amendment that is all encompassing with all these different things, right? With a balanced budget, you can't have an amendment that has term limits. You can't do all this. And we can only, if you do too much, you're going to get nothing.
Right.
So what you need to do is go after term limits, get that passed, go after a balanced budget, get that passed. They're all separate things. I got to move on. All right. So
hey Jim.
Oh God.
Your sister's here.
What's that?
Mary's here.
Mary's here.
Hey, Mary.
She is here?
Yeah.
Yeah. I tried to get on at 2 till, Jimmy. I texted you and messaged you, but I don't think you saw it. Sorry, because I didn't have the right link. It's all good. Keep on going.
Listen, this link that you use to get here is always every week. Same link. So Right on. All right, so moving on.
Article 1, Section 9, Clause 8.
Yep, clause 8. Now, Mary picked a good time to come because I know how she feels about this one. So clause 8. Oh boy, here we I'm starting to sweat. Where's my fan? No title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of the Congress, accept any present, emolument, office, or title of any kind, whatever, from any king, prince, or foreign state. Okay, so obviously we'll start with the titles of nobility. We understand why we're getting away from that. We do not want kings or queens here. Now we get into, and we'll talk about it real quick. But we get into the president, right? Whether or not it was a violation of the emoluments clause, where he is, even though he has stepped down, I think we all know that Trump is still him. And when you have foreign dignitaries that are staying in his hotels and they're going to his golf courses, the question is there, and it doesn't look good, whether or not he's violating the emoluments clause. It's been brought up a lot. It's never been, the courts have never, the Justice Department has never, nobody's ever done anything with it. I would also go back to Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State. Clinton Foundation was bringing in a shit ton of money from other governments, from outside governments. So it's not just Donald Trump, it is every politician. There is actually discussion now as to whether or not the clause is going to apply to members of Congress, which I believe it does. The one that they bring up here is in 2009, Senator Edward Kennedy received an honorary knighthood from Queen Elizabeth II. Although there's no indication that he sought consent from Congress, he received a standing ovation from lawmakers when the announcement of the award was made. I mean, obviously he is not a true knight, right? He's not, it's honorary. I get what they're saying. It is still a title, a nobility title that has been passed on to him. I don't know where there would be any question as to whether or not the clause applies to members of Congress. I mean, does anybody think it doesn't?
It almost reads like it applies to all U.S. citizens.
Well, holding any office or profit or trust under them. Office of profit or trust under them. So,
Oh, yep, that's a keyword. Sorry.
so
Yeah. Dave, anything? I know. Come on.
Yeah, under that, you know, a military award like the equivalent to the Medal of Honor or something like that from another country could be awarded to somebody. That wouldn't be a problem. Obviously, what they're trying to stop here is bribery or influence internationally by, hey, we'll make you a duke. Well, what does that get me? Well, you know, so they want to avoid any possibility of impropriety there.
Mhm.
I think that's pretty clear.
Yep.
Mary, what do you got?
I think this doesn't mean anything about if I suddenly found myself a duchess in England. That doesn't mean anything if England makes me a duchess. Obviously, that's never going to happen. But
I
and
wouldn't say never. It's happened. Who just
well, my name isn't Megan, so
Right, but as long as you're not holding an office, profit, or trust
still,
under the country.
if
But
you read the first line, it says very clearly, no title of nobility shall be granted by the United States.
right, by
And the
the
United
By
States,
the United States.
Right, by the
Right.
United States, right. So
So-
if England said, poof, you're a duchess, that would
Right.
not be in violation. Yeah.
correct.
And if
So-
you are, please remember all of us little people.
I absolutely will.
What
You
that,
are
what that
welcome
first,
at my
listen,
castle
what that
always.
first line is saying is that the United States cannot declare somebody king, right? We
Correct.
cannot have a King Trump. We can't have Queen Clinton, Queen Hillary the first.
Right.
It says any title or nobility. So,
title of nobility.
so I mean, Prince, Duke, anything like that. Bishop.
Right.
Oh, well, I guess Bishop.
Yep.
That's different.
Of
Right.
nobility.
Mary, you
There
got
will-
anything you want to add here on the emoluments?
Sure don't. Just here to listen, brother.
All right, all right. I
Let
thought
me
for
throw
sure
a
you were going to get in there because I don't know if me and you were far removed on that. I got problems with some of this stuff.
I want to apologize that I wasn't here for the right to bear arms because we would have been high-fiving the whole time.
Oh, no, we're not there yet.
Leave it at the-
We're getting
Great.
through the art, we're getting through the articles first before we get into the
Oh,
amendment.
you're going in order.
We're
Sorry.
Stick around till June. We'll be there.
Now, I wish we did not go in order because, no, it's gonna move on in a second, but I wish we did not go in order. Because there's some stuff we could probably be talking about. And here, before we leave, Renee, don't let me forget to tell everybody, I think I might go live tomorrow. And so that we can talk about the elections and things that are going on right now. But it's going to be, you're going to have to be reading some US code, some US law out of Title 10 before we talk about it. But we'll talk about that.
Let me throw one more curveball at this, what we were just talking about with the emolument. How do you say it?
Emolument.
Emoluments?
Yeah. So let's say, this guy, they're running for president and they're all going against each other, and then the guy goes, well, you drop out and I'll make you Secretary of State. Would that be little dirty water right there for this whole thing?
Not emoluments though. I think it's a little dirty water.
That's
okay.
Standard politics.
Yeah, right. I don't think that's emoluments. I mean, people that drop out of these races are given well, I mean, look at Kamala.
I think that's quid pro quo, isn't it?
I'm just saying it made me feel like it was getting murky like that with the way they have been always doing it both sides. As far as I know they like you and they like me, but if I get it out, if you drop out, I'll make you.
The thing is though, if you got to read till the end of that, the emoluments clause is that you're not receiving it from any king, prince, or foreign state.
Yeah, this is geared towards foreign influence, preventing foreign influence in the government of people who have a position to affect the country.
Position of public trust.
Right.
Yep.
All right, carry on.
All right. No, I got your blessing.
All right.
All right, so now we're going to move on to section 10. So what we had before, we were talking about, section 8, things that we authorize the government to do. Section 9, things that we absolutely prohibit the government to do. And we actually have section 10, we've got 3 clauses here of things that we absolutely prohibit the states from doing. We'll go through and read this whole thing. Where did I put the Constitution? Oh, here it is. So we'll go through, we'll read the whole thing, and then we'll just break it down a little bit.
Jim, one time.
Shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. So a lot of the things that we just said the government is not allowed to do were so important to the framers that they also said the states aren't allowed to do it. The states obviously cannot enter into any treaty, alliance, confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal. We talk about letters of marque and reprisal. That is all left to the federal government. The states have no right at all to enter into any agreements, any alliances with any foreign countries, any foreign governments.
Pretty straightforward there.
That one is.
Actually, it doesn't say foreign governments. Is that implied?
Well, treaties, alliances, or confederations. Let's see here. Where am I?
So two states couldn't have a treaty between each other either.
Correct. Yeah, it says no state shall.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, right. Well, and I guess that's where you get the confederation.
Federation, right.
And because the last time that we had a bunch of states that got together in a confederation, we had a little bit of a war. So yeah, that got a little out of control. So we decided to limit the amount of confederations.
Oh, this was written before that happened.
Actually, it was written before, right? And we had decided to go ahead and do the confederation when
So the Confederate States were unconstitutional.
Well, sure they were. There was a full-on rebellion.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
See what happens when we don't follow the rules?
What's that? Who had something there?
I said, I'm gonna take attendance now.
Okay. I don't know what I have to give away. I'll figure it out.
All right.
That was my
So
only
does that have
problem.
to do?
I'm gonna give away
does
this
that-
pen. I'm gonna give away my clicky pen that Mary hates when I click.
There you
So
go.
I'm gonna go ahead. That's what I'm gonna give away this week. Just kidding. Mary's only here because she thinks I'm giving bourbon away again. I might. Who knows? All right. So here, the interesting one here for me is that no state shall coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. So what we're saying is that the states cannot make their own money. Bills of credit are basically that, any type of currency. Now, if you see though, the Constitution gives the states the right to make gold and silver coin a tender. And in recent years, there have been at least 13 states that have proposed issuing their own silver and gold currency. And some of those are because they see what's coming, or they're worried about what's coming with the dollar. They see the way that the national debt is going, that it is unsustainable. They're worried about what's going to happen. But right now, the state, Ohio, can make their own gold and silver coin. They can make their own gold and silver money. They're just not allowed to make any fiat.
Does it give them the right to?
You
throw
mean
money-
like
Sorry. Go ahead.
Alicia?
Does it give them the right to make their own money, or does it give them the right to say that gold and silver is tender?
No, it says that they have make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment.
Right.
So they have the right to make gold and silver coin, to make it legal tender. So nobody,
my question is, can they
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
can they use this to abolish Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency?
I don't believe a state is doing that.
cryptocurrency is going to be a thing, man.
Yeah, but it's not organized by a particular state. So
No, it's not yet.
Cryptocurrency is a big thing.
It's
But-
going to be a thing.
This is saying that a state can't make cryptocurrency tender, and they can't make anything. They're not saying,
Right.
they're not giving the states rights to make the coins. They're giving the states the right to use the gold and silver as tender.
No, they're giving the states the right to make coins out of gold and silver and use them as tender in their state. Because gold and silver has a monetary value that's a standard across the globe. You know, there's
Yeah,
no-
right. And you got to remember, the bills of credit they're talking about, our dollar is based on the value we give it. There is no true value. It's just like Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin's at 32,000, I think I saw today.
It tumbled to 29.
But there is no value to Bitcoin at all. There's no
Yeah, it's
value.
backed
It can
by,
disappear
it's
tomorrow.
backed by who will give you what for it.
Well, that's all it is. That's all it is. Everybody decides they don't want to. It's craziness to me. I don't know.
Well,
I had-
here, think about it this way also. As soon as the power goes out, you're broke.
As soon as the internet
Oh, yeah.
don't work,
Right.
Yeah.
you can tell me how much Bitcoin you got, but you got to have ammo.
Yeah. Right.
Um,
I'm going to move on here real quick, just because we're so close to being done with Article 1.
6 minutes.
Yep.
Coin money specifically excluded.
What's that?
Coining money is explicitly excluded. No state shall enter into any treaty, mark of reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit. They can't coin the money. They're saying
No,
they can't.
But
they
they
can't
can
make
with the silver.
anything. They can't make
Gold
anything but gold and silver coin.
As tender.
Right, they're allowed to make gold and silver coins as tender. in
Fi-
payment.
No,
They
that's-
can't coin fiat currency. So they can't make a penny or they can't make a different coin than
Just like
say
what
that
South
it's
The problem is that if you allow the states to start making their own money, it's going to devalue the federal government's money. We need the federal government to be in charge of making the nation's money. Silver and gold have value. It doesn't matter. It's not going to destabilize anything. If you're using silver and gold to make money, to make coins, and you flood the market with it, it's not going to devalue our currency. But when
the
you
value of the silver and dollar and gold coin is the silver and gold.
Right.
When you create a coin out of some random material and give it some random value, that'll devalue the dollar, where it doesn't have any value itself.
So we can use this to get rid of the Fed then? That's what I'm talking about now.
Well, I guess, right? If everybody had enough silver and gold. Look at Dan. Dan, you know what, Dan? I thought maybe you were just a conservative. I truly believe the more I talk to you, I think you're an anarchist. I'm almost sure. I'm almost there. I'm gonna know tonight. All right, I gotta move on. I'm almost done here.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. I just wondered if I should just like do a chat separately with Dan and I then.
Because you're an anarchist also?
Go on.
Don't admit anything. We're recording this. All right, so no state shall pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law. We already talked about that, but it was so important to the framers, the bills of attainder and the ex post facto law, that they are going to prohibit everybody in this country from doing it. The government, the states, the federal government, the states, nobody, bills of attainder or ex post facto. Everybody understands what those are. All right. No state shall pass any law impairing the obligation of contracts. Self-explanatory. Are we almost done here?
We're very close.
Clause 2.
No state shall grant any title of nobility. Again, obviously you don't want
We're past this, Jim.
What's that?
We're past this. We're on section 10, clause 2.
Yep.
Right. No, we're still this is all part of the states. If you read saying that the states are not, we were talking about the government not being able to give anybody nobility, but they're also talking about the states, because the problem here is that if Ohio decides that they're going to have King DeWine, which it appears we might, but I don't think he's actually called a king. If Ohio decides they're going to have King DeWine, what that's doing then is it's going against the Constitution, and we haven't got there yet, but in Article 4, Section 4, that promises every state a Republican form of government. So this is the Constitution telling the states that even while we can't have the king presiding over the entire United States, Michigan can't have a queen, we can't have a king, because now it's going against the Republican form of government. Yep. Got it, Jeff?
Oh yeah, no, I got it. But you were talking about stuff that we had already gone over.
Well, we had, but we went over it on the federal level. We're in the state level now. That was in section 9. We were talking about titles of nobility, but we are in section 10, and I think this is it, right?
Yeah.
Clause 3, no state shall, without the consent of the Congress, lay any impost or duties or imports. Geez. No state shall, without the consent of the Congress, lay any imposts or duties on imports or exports, except what may be absolutely necessary for executing its inspection laws, and the net produce of all duties and imposts laid by any state on imports or exports shall be for the use of the Treasury of the United States, and all such laws shall be subject to the revision and control of Congress. I'm gonna have to. This is the only one I didn't write notes on because I truly didn't think we were going to make it this far.
But that's why the Port Authority in New York had so much power, I bet, because they were just able to go, yep,
Well,
that
they're
does
not
it.
allowed to lay any, obviously, they can't lay any duties on anything, but what they can do is charge inspection fees. But what this says, though, is that once they've met their obligation for their inspection fees, anything above and beyond what their expenses are on that has to go to the federal government. That's it in a nutshell. Yep. I don't see anything else I need to change. Dave, you got anything? I went through this pretty quick here at the end.
No, we're good. We're good.
Still sick of Article 1.
Yeah, you got it covered.
Yeah, I think we're done with Article 1. And just in time, because January 20th, we get a new president.
Hold on a minute.
There's
You
still
just
one more clause there.
yeah, you just said
there's one more clause.
Article 10 or Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3, but you read Clause 2.
Yeah, there's
Paragraph
one more.
3. Oh, I did. That was the end of that. You're right. I'm sorry. Yep. So that was the end of Clause 2. Paragraph
yeah.
3 is that no state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops or ships of war in time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state, or with a foreign power, or engage in war unless actually invaded or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay.
So doesn't that go against keeping the National Guard around the state?
No, that's militia.
Okay.
I think this pretty much says that a state cannot like declare war on another country. That's kind of how I read that.
Not only another country, another state.
Well, that too, yeah. Unless they're actually invaded or in such imminent danger that the federal government, if they were to delay, pretty much self-defense.
Correct. Canada decides to invade Michigan. Michigan can certainly respond with their National Guard to attack Canada at that point while they're waiting for the federal government to
declare war.
Exactly. That's why we all need to stay armed, because the Canadians could be coming.
Well, you got to watch Canadians. They're a crafty bunch.
Yes,
just
they're
very crafty with their beer.
And Ohio usually declares war on Michigan the last weekend of the month in November. So
Except for when they skip out on us because they claim COVID.
Oh, okay, that's enough.
do you blame them?
Let's get back on topic, please.
we're actually done. We're done. We're done with
Article 1.
Article 1. Thank God, because I am sick of Article 1. So next week, we'll go over just a quick, because I don't have time now. We'll go over just a quick summary Article 1, so we're sure everybody's on the same page, and we will jump into Article 2, which is going to be the executive, which is going to be just in time for the new president coming. So we'll hit Article 2. Article 2 should go fairly quickly. I think this is.
You remember when we talked about this originally, Jim? And we thought maybe 2-3 meetings we'd cover Article 1. And
Oh
then,
man, I thought we'd be done with this in like 3 weeks.
Right.
Actually, I thought I was going to get halfway done with it in the first week.
Right. And here we
But,
are.
you know, man, the discussion has been fantastic. It really has, and I've learned a lot that I did not know going through this just through the discussion. So
What are we? Week 8 or week 9 now?
Renee's uploading the videos now. I don't know. I've lost track. I think we're in.
I think we're on 10.
What's that?
I think we're on 10.
This is 10?
Did you start on election night?
We did. Oh,
This is 9 then. 9?
yeah. Good point, Mayor.
No,
We did.
Did we start election night? Is that
Or
what?
Yep.
did we start the week before?
No. We started on election night with
No,
an
it was on
introduction
election
to the
night.
Constitution.
Okay.
That's right. Okay.
Yep.
You want an update before we close this down?
Yeah. What is the update?
Purdue at 50.1, Donna and Ossoff at 49.9, 61% in. Leffler at 49.7, Warnock 50.3, both 61% in.
Right on.
So Purdue's up, Leffler's still down very slightly.
Right on. All right. So tomorrow I might want to talk real quick. Not a legit meeting. I don't know. Maybe we'll just do a room or something. I don't know. But on the Insurrection Act, everybody's bringing up the Insurrection Act with what's going on, and especially with what's going on tomorrow with the rally and all of that. If I may go on for a little bit just to talk about the Insurrection Act. If we're going to talk about it, that is not in the Constitution. Where you're going to have to go for that is U.S. Code. It's Title 10, Sections 251 through 255. If you guys read Title 10, Sections 251 through 255, that'll bring you up to speed on the Insurrection Act, and we can talk about it a little bit tomorrow as to whether or not that's being violated, both by what's going on down there in D.C. And what Congress is trying to do right now with trying to stop the electors. And I'm torn on it. I really am. It depends what day you get me. Some days I think that Cruz is out of his mind, and other days I'm kind of behind Cruz. So I don't know. I'm not sure on that today.
You got to work tomorrow?
Okay.
I don't. I'm off.
All right.
Okay.
The after party's going to be good.
Oh shit! No, wait a minute, man. Hold on. I got stuff to do tomorrow. I'm gonna get on there for a little bit, but I got Oh God, this is gonna be a 4:30 night. I already know it.
Meeting 10.
I don't have that much bourbon though.
I'll be back in like 45 minutes. I gotta.
I still got
go to-
Dave's shine here. I was gonna get it to him tonight, but don't worry, David. I'm getting it out to you tomorrow.
Are we
You
done?
might be able to find some more shine
Yeah.
tomorrow.
We're done. And then we'll hit up to the, afterwards, we'll go and we'll talk about the rest of this stuff. Things I did good, things we did bad, see if we can change it for, Article 2. All right, so I'll see everybody over there. Mary, thanks for coming.
And on our YouTube channel, this is meeting 10.
Right on.
Mary, are you joining the after party?
For a little bit, I got.
Yeah, you are. We had a good time last week, man. I
We
like.
did, but I was on vacation last week.
Oh, fair. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you don't have to stay until 4:30.
I'll see you in a minute.
All right. I'll see you guys.
Faster,
Bye, guys.
faster.